Welcome to Monday, October 27th, 2025, your day weather podcast brought to you by the Advocates Injury Attorneys. If you've been injured in an accident, don't face it alone. Get an experienced local Wyoming attorney on your side. Free consultations at wyomingadvocates.com or call 307-800-1952. You deserve an advocate. Well, Pacific winds that'll be blowing will be affecting the weather here in the days ahead. And as you can see from that photo, starting to bring snow into eastern Idaho and western Wyoming during the day on Saturday and starting late Saturday night in the Pacific Northwest. As these Pacific winds come through, it'll be unsettled, areas of wind, colder temperatures, some showers on the plains, some snow in the high country. It's not going to be an organized system as we've been showing you over the past week. We just have a lot of strong jet stream winds and energy, but by the time the system gets organized, it'll be well to the east. But it will draw in much colder temperatures. You'll notice this especially tomorrow. Tomorrow going to be a chilly day, some freezing temperatures coming the next couple of nights in many areas. Looking ahead to Halloween, we've got a backdoor cold front, but we don't think it's going to be much of a factor for trick-or-treating Friday evening for most of you. We'll show you that. Nice weather will then go behind that cold front this upcoming weekend into early next week. The first few days in November could actually be really quite nice. Then after that, we've got question marks again in the longer term. Rewinding a little bit, going back to late last week, we talked about that little low that was coming off the Pacific that went right across the Great Basin, then right across Colorado. Well, it was quite productive at producing some nice high elevation snows over Colorado. Colorado ski areas getting some good snow over that last 24 to 48 hour period late last week as that system moved through, and a little upslope fog in Fountain, Colorado behind it. Now, with the increase in Pacific moisture this weekend, we have just got a lot of great photos to send you as we look at the skies over this past weekend across the Intermountain West and over a lot of areas. Just a really nice stretch of weather, giving us good vistas, really cool clouds. It looks like a harp over Casper. Then look at that sunrise in Cheyenne this past Sunday. And we had just a lot of sunrise and sunset pictures all across the region showing up very well as those clouds come in with these Pacific systems. They come in layers, you get different cloud types, and this time of year, you just get that low sun angle that really makes it really good. Then, of course, with winds increasing aloft, a lot of you probably saw a lot of lenticular clouds this past weekend. There are some lenticular clouds out by Independence Rock, and there's a shot of that Pacific moisture on the east side of the Yosemite National Park, and then just more beautiful sunrise, sunset photos from Cheyenne to Encampment to Wheatland to Big Timber, Montana. Sundog there in the Denver area earlier this weekend. Another nice shot of clouds all the way up into Montana along the Snake River in eastern Washington. Look at those calm waters and beautiful conditions there. A very faint rainbow showing up in Laramie yesterday in advance of that Pacific moisture, and another rainbow over in the Lander area. And then, speaking of the Lander area, those deeper, darker, heavy-looking clouds along that Pacific cold front pushing into western and central portions of Wyoming yesterday, and more clouds rolling in behind that into the Jackson area. A great shot there from Brian Leonard of the Comet Lemon. 98 one-minute exposures to put that together. That's a lot of hard work. A beautiful shot there. Then speaking of a beautiful shot, I don't know if Chad's kind of rubbing it in or not. Hey, look, I'm in Kona, Hawaii. So there's a nice sunset in Kona. So beautiful shots all around, really, the northern hemisphere to show you this morning. The satellite photo shows a couple of things. First of all, here's the Pacific energy and moisture in the low pressure system in front. You can see signs of that strong jet stream wind punching in right here, kind of segmented. Notice these clouds are stretched out north-south like this. That's because that high here in the Great Lakes is blocking this and causing it to split, that fork in the road. And when we take a look at what's going to happen, we had a lot to talk about last week about what was going to happen with all of this jet stream energy. Well, this is where it's all going to be noon today. The strong jet stream winds punching in. Here's your Pacific trough of low pressure. Here's that big high pressure ridge in the nation's midsection. Here's that low that rolled over Colorado late last week. Here's Hurricane Melissa causing a lot of problems down in Jamaica. But what's going to end up happening is indeed this system is going to split and it's going to get consolidated down here. So if you remember last week, we were talking about it maybe being here, maybe being it here, maybe it being here. Well, it's going to end up being consolidated more down there. So model's still having a really hard time with this, but the general rule here is that it's going to split, lose some of its energy before getting consolidated again. Here's a wave that's going to come in right behind it on Thursday and then get drawn into the main system, but it will push in some colder temperatures. So these are the temperatures that we're going to see, temperature anomalies by noon tomorrow. So a chilly, blustery afternoon today, cold night tonight, cold day tomorrow, cold night Tuesday night. Then as we get into Wednesday and Thursday, not much going on. Precipitation between now and Wednesday looks like this. Nothing heavy, but there will be some showers of rain on the plains, some rain and snow showers up a little bit higher, then a little bit of snow will be falling in the high country as this Pacific wave comes on through. Then for Friday, this is for noon on Friday. Right here, we talked about a backdoor cold front. That low that I showed you earlier is going to get drawn into the main low and it's going to get consolidated here in the Great Lakes in the northeastern United States. But if you follow the wind barbs, they're coming in from the north-northwest during the day on Friday. And there will be a little bit of a frontal boundary coming south out of Canada. High pressure is in behind it, though, and there's not a lot of moisture to work with. So this is what we call a backdoor cold front, where there will be colder air right here coming in behind the front on Friday. So for Halloween, these are the temperature anomalies at trick-or-treat time. So you can see along and east of the divide as that cooler air comes in, it is going to be cooler out into the plains along and east of the divide. Along and west of the divide, temperatures are a little bit above average. And we don't expect this front to be producing moisture. This is for the 24-hour period of Halloween, so pretty clear. Other than some showers closer to that low up into the Dakotas and Minnesota, it just looks like it might be a bit on the cool side for trick-or-treating in some areas. But by far, we have seen many, many Halloweens a lot worse. So not looking bad for Halloween at all. Now, when we go into long term, we're going to kind of go through the same machinations that we went through last week. What happens when we get another push of strong jet stream energy coming off the West Coast? This is the European model for next Wednesday, the 5th. It actually shows a broad area of fair high pressure over the Intermountain West for the first half of next week. Actually, if the European model is right, it's going to be really quite nice for the first 5 or 6 days in November. But the European is kind of the odd man out. When we look at the AI version, notice a couple of things. The European wants a strong trough in New England, strong high pressure ridge here. But when we look at the AI version, that trough is all the way out here. And we've already got a frontal boundary coming through midweek next week. And then we've got these strong jet stream winds coming in behind it, which would mean at the end of next week and the weekend of the 8th and the 9th, this is likely going to be somewhere in the west. The European is showing the AI version that coming in. The GFS is also showing a trough approaching middle of next week. And the Canadian is a little bit further west, but it's there. So basically what we're showing you here is that behind this backdoor cold front on Halloween, the weekend and probably through Tuesday and Wednesday of next week looks really nice. After the middle of next week, we'll just have to wait and see if we're going to see those changes. And if they do occur, how hard will those changes be, how much of an impact, and the timing. Right now, the timing would be late next week or the following weekend after this one. Have yourself a good Monday. We'll see you tomorrow.